We move straight to the alarming security situation, and this happened exactly in Sokoto State, where the killing of an imam and of course 27 others, and this just happened recently now. The killing of at least 28 people. You can see that right there in the picture in Ungushi community, Kebe local government area of Sokoto State, has renewed concerns over the growing threat posed by armed groups linked to the Lakurawa terrorists, and raised fresh questions about the ability of the security forces to protect vulnerable communities. Among those killed in the latest attack was Imam Aliu. He's the chief imam of Ungushi Izala Jumaat Mosque, whose death has deepened the shock and the anger, among residents. Now, the attack, which occurred on Sunday evening, that's 3 days ago, that came only days after another deadly assault on Ungushi and neighboring communities, suggesting that the area is facing a sustained security challenge rather than an isolated incident. Now, the Sokoto State Police Command confirmed that an attack occurred, but said it was difficult, to immediately establish, the number of casualties. Police spokesperson, that's the DSP Ahmed Rufai, however, said 28 bodies had been recovered following the incident. Residents said the attackers stormed the community and opened fire on civilians, killing farmers, traders, religious leaders, and other residents. These are ordinary people. They are farmers, traders, religious leaders, family members. They have done nothing to deserve this, a resident said. The repeated attacks have also triggered fresh displacement, with residents reportedly abandoning their homes in fear of further assault. People are no longer, sleeping peacefully. Families are leaving their homes because they fear another attack. We need urgent intervention before more communities are deserted, another resident, said. A community under sustained attack. So, Mal Ibrahim, this is the, sad reality that is happening in those communities across the northern part of the country. The police themselves, said it's a difficult terrain. The number of casualties cannot be ascertained, but what they have recovered are 28 people. So it means more bodies are there that have not been reported. Such a sad incident.
Honestly.
Yeah. For ordinary people who have done nothing wrong.
Have done nothing wrong, honestly. And then it is it's becoming more and more, they are becoming more and more bolder. I think they are even saying that now it's not even a matter of you sending military personnel to come and combat the situation, to come after the attack have been made. What they wanted from Nigerian military is let them come before the attack takes place. But mostly what happens is that it's after the attack takes place that they will come.
Do they inform the military that an attack is about to happen?
No, for example, the ones that happened previously in
early
warning sign, exactly. They send messages, but for the military or for any security agents to be able to reach that because of lack of road, do you understand? There's no readily available access road to access the place, and that is what the bandits even are taking advantage of. They know that they can come out, strike, and do whatever they want to do, chat away with good, kill people, and then leave. They can even operate for at least 3 hours because they know that no security personnel can be able to access that place in the next 5 hours. These are the problems.
Can't our security personnel also use bike?
I think that has been also suggested, but also there depends on the budget of the military personnel. But if this is what will now help them,
bikes would have been cheaper.
Exactly. In the olden days, they used to be provided with horses to access difficult terrain. You understand? But the bandit can decide to shoot the horses.
You will even be exposing yourself.
Exposing yourself. Even the bikes. Even the bike, you can expose yourself now. But then if you say, let them be provided with, what about the petroleum, the petrol they will be using?
But it will be cheaper for bikes than the armored cars and all of that.
Of course.
But again, I'm not a military personnel, but those armored tanks, they don't care about, bad road. They can pass any bad road.
What about the speed before they reach there?
Okay.
And that is what the bandits are taking advantage of. the time that the security agencies can take to reach there.
Well, we've been talking about use of technology. We've been talking about use of drones, simple drones that are being made by everybody now.
Exactly.
Why not use drones to do this job?
After all, we use drones to monitor elections.
To monitor elections. So why would you deploy drones?
I think some way, somehow, the politicians, particularly around this time now, all the attention of the leadership and politicians are turned to campaign issues, to election issues. And the Lakura was and other bandits have understood that. They knew that about this time, people are concentrated, politicians are concentrated on their election thing, re-electioning and other activities. So their attention is not on security as per se. Even when they were less concentrating on election and campaigning, these people have been taking action. They have been attacking communities. They have been killing people. And the sad thing about this particular attack is that the moment they came, before they started, the first thing they did was to separate the women.
From the men?
From the men. They separate women and children aside.
So they had time?
They had time.
Okay. Then what did they now do?
They shoot all the men.
In that community?
In that community, they shoot. So some people begin to run. Whatever they, and then one thing that is working against communities is information. There's no communication, synergy in communication. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes they don't even have phone numbers to the nearest police station around them or the nearest security agent.
And some of them are even informants.
Some of them are informants.
I don't know, we said it here on this program that, rather than, because we saw the governor of Sokoto State, buying security equipment, cars, vans, and all of that. And the minister of defense was there, to commission them. And that was where he made the statement that, you don't wait for others to shoot anybody. And we're also thinking that, why don't you even empower the youth or the men in those communities? Because if the men in those communities have AK-47 or the RPG or the kind of weapons that this, local terrorist comes with, they should also be trained and be given to use it. Because if you are separating me and I have weapons, you won't do that.
I think it will be difficult for... It will be difficult.
That will be another crisis on its own.
To hand weapon in the hands of the youth just like that.
But are we not in that situation already where we are helpless as we speak?
They should be involved, actually. They should provide information.
In Borno, where you and I come from, the civilian JTF are even using sticks.
Sticks, a bow and arrows.
An arrow to deal with the terrorists.
Exactly.
Today we are hearing the young people, today we are even hearing the young people themselves are standing up to the Boko Haram people with their arrow, with their sticks and all of that. So can't we train the young people in those communities to safeguard your community? You allow your community to the extent that if they put fear, what these terrorists, thrive on is fear. It's fear. When they put fear in the community is in disarray.
Exactly. Yeah, there are communities that are already charting this direction that they are talking about. There are local small villages that are already training their youth on how to shoot bow and arrow, how to even manufacture, create the bow and arrow and train them. Because this time around, you don't know when these people are coming to attack you. And there are small villages that are even arranging their own security arrangement. Certain amount of you will be watching over the village from the outskirts of the village. Okay. Then when they observe any...
They will raise the alarm and people can even escape.
Exactly. People can either escape or the elders will not make phone call to the nearest police establishment or police post around within their communities. So look, for the first 30 minutes or 1 hour, we're observing unfamiliar movement here. You are calling from so place. There are villages that are already doing that in some communities. So government should be able to aid such communities that have taken this initiative with provision of more communication equipment, integrating the youth in that community to liaise, to synergize with the security agencies.
I remember the Katsina State, governor. Was it last year or 2 years ago? They did empower young people with guns, even they had then guns. And a lot of people were laughing that...
all these hunters guns?
Yes. Okay. And that is it this gun that they will use to face a terrorist that is having a bandit that is having an AK-47. But Mike, I will rather prefer that you buy weapons as equal as to what the bandit, come with. That is on one hand. On the other hand, the use of technology. Why don't we empower our youth in those communities to produce their own drones?
That is it.
And use them to monitor their communities.
Even if they don't have
a Panteka man can do excellent drone.
Exactly.
I don't know what youth in other communities cannot do.
Honestly speaking. But is it also drone that can go and monitor and bring information?
Yes.
Abi?
Yes.
Yes, of course. That is doable.
But we also have drones that can even attack.
No, but you don't have the right as an individual
to
create
do that.
anything like
but
that.
the government can do that and give and can
yes,
deploy.
Exactly.